Fantastic Mr. Fox is the sixth film directed by Wes Anderson. Nate, we're really just breezing right through these things.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
This is his first foray into stop motion animation, and for those of you who aren't familiar, Fantastic Mr. Fox tells the story of Fox, who's voiced by George Clooney, and he's raising a family, and he used to be a thief and steal for his food, but now he's trying to make an honest living, but wants the bigger life, and he wants to go back to his old ways, and he betrays the wrong three farmers. This kind of war ensues from all this. It affects the whole community.
Yeah.
So, Nate, once again, let's just get into Wes Anderson, and I love what he does with this stop motion animation.
Yes.
I love that there are showy moments where it's like, oh, look at all the cool stuff you can do with stop motion, but it never gets too distracting. Like when you need the dialogue and you need the heavy moments, the stop motion's more subtle.
Yeah.
But when it's showy, it's great.
Yeah, this movie is a standout for me in the sense that I cannot take my eyes off the screen. This is such a gorgeous film, such gorgeous animation. It gets me incredibly excited for Isle of Dogs because he's going back to the stop motion animation. And I think that his personal style really translates perfectly with this, and you can really tell that he cared about this story, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and that it was passionate to him.
I think this is a unique animated movie in that it's animated, but it still has a director's trademark style to it.
Through the whole thing.
Yeah, very few animated movies can pull that off. The dialogue is definitely told in Wes Anderson's voice. You know, it's very autumnal kind of color palette with, yellows, oranges, browns, and reds.
Yeah.
And also, there's families dysfunction, just like in every other Wes Anderson movie. Once again, Wes Anderson had a great cast together for this one.
Totally.
And, voice acting is just so underappreciated and overlooked in Hollywood these days. And just between George Clooney, Meryl Streep, Willem Dafoe, they're all great.
Yeah.
But who is your favorite? Who stands out to you amongst the voice cast?
I mean, for me, Bill Murray voices the character of Badger. I really like the Badger character. I really like this whole monologue that he has that he tells you about the villains of the movies. I think it's like a really... Once again, you're right. Like, you have to appreciate the voice acting in this. And even though Badger is my favorite character, George Clooney is a standout. I mean, he kills this thing, and his voice is so crisp that you just can hear every little thing. And I agree with you. I think it's underappreciated, especially with sound design in general with this movie. Some of the sound effects they use for certain times stand out to me, and I think it just adds more to the personality of the film.
Yeah, the last two movies we reviewed, Darjeeling Limited and Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, we talked about Wes Anderson's ambition, how he was thinking bigger and he was going bolder. And I think that he applied that to this, but because it was such a smaller story and such a smaller movie, it was just a tight package where he knew where his ambition could go. And I think this is where he really started to come into his own as a filmmaker. And this is the shortest of his movies. And I think it's also probably the best paced.
I think that, exactly. I was going to say the same thing. I think this movie is really well paced. We complained before on some of his movies. Some of the downfalls is that it does feel too long. Even though his movies aren't 3-hour run times, they just feel long sometimes.
A little overstuffed at times.
Yeah, but this one does not. This one just moves right along. It's always entertaining. And like I said, it's just always fresh. I'm never not wowed by the screen because they switch it up in different scenes so many times, especially with the whack-ball scene. It's one of my favorites where they describe this made-up sport named whack-ball, which has so many ridiculous rules, but I think in the mind of Wes Anderson, it makes sense probably.
Right.
But it's all over the place, but I just think that he switches it up enough that I think that kids and adults will be thoroughly entertained. But that's a question I have for you. Do you think that this is a kid's movie? Do you think kids would like this? I tried to view this through my 10-year-old self, and I'm just I don't know if I'd like this if I was that young.
I think kids can enjoy this, but I think it's just more enjoyable for adults. There's more layered humor. I mean, the brilliant move of substituting every swear word with cuss.
Yeah.
I think that's just a great testament to how words only have as much weight or as much power as we give them. So when you just substitute the word cuss for every swear word, as adults we know what they're really trying to say.
Right.
So I think it makes it a little bit more enjoyable for us.
I mean,
but I think kids can enjoy it.
I think so too. I think that the cuss thing could almost be something a family can adapt into. So it's don't swear, just say cuss or something like that. So I think there's learning moments there. And I agree. I think just even kids of the younger age will be wowed by just the visuals. The colors alone is enough to entrance you.
Yeah, and just all the neat little tricks that Wes Anderson brought into this with using saran wrap for water and using cotton to stimulate smoke and all that stuff. And just the detail that went into it, you can tell that this was a real passion project for Anderson, and he put his fullest into it.
He did, yeah. Even with the story of Fantastic Mr. Fox, but the artistry of stop-motion animation, he kept this at 12 frames a second instead of 24 frames a second. Just so
24 is too fluid. He wanted to look actual.
To see choppy. You wanted to see the artistry of stop-motion animation and all the little details that come with it. And I think that that's why this movie stands out also as an animated film. It's all in the details, and they're all right there on screen.
Buffs.
Okay, Nate, it's been a while since we both revisited Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I think we can both say we enjoyed it. But how much did you enjoy it? Tell me your score.
I love this movie. I think it's so good. It's one of my favorite animated films of all time. And although Rushmore is my favorite movie of Wes Anderson, Fantastic Mr. Fox is my second favorite, and I'm going to go 9.5 out of 10. I love this movie. I highly recommend it.
This movie is an impressive feat by Anderson. I remember when this came out, someone was like, "You gonna check it out?" I was like, "Nah, probably not." And they're like, "It's directed by Wes Anderson." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm there."
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that I went and saw it. I'm glad that I revisited it again. It's underappreciated. Like, I didn't have it up there in the highest of my Wes Anderson movies, but now seeing it again, it's up there. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Fantastic Mr. Fox a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Great movie, fun for everyone, but admittedly a little bit more fun for adults.
Yep.
Buffs.
So that's it for our review of Fantastic Mr. Fox. What you guys think of the movie? What's your favorite children's book adaptation? Go ahead and leave a comment down below.
Yeah, we're nearing the end of our Wes Anderson series, and
Two more to go.
Yeah, 2 more to go. Next week we'll be bringing you Moonrise Kingdom, so check that out. But don't you forget,
There's no place like the theater.